It's 6:30. We call Sawyer County Board meeting to order. Ask clerk to call the roll, please.
Steve Karianen. Here. Kay Wilson. Here. Tweed Schuman.
Here.
Stacy Hessel. Here. Randy Newman.
Here.
Mark Helwig.
Here.
Thomas Duffy. Here. Marshall Savitsky. Here. Jim Evans. Here. Chuck Van Etten. Here. Jeff Haney. Here. John Righeimer.
Here.
Ron Kinsley.
Here.
Ron Buckholz.
Present.
Dale Magnuson.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd also like to note on the number 2 notice that the November County Board meeting will be on a Wednesday, November 12th, because it would normally be on the 11th, but we can't because it's Veterans Day. Thank you. The next item is Pledge Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
under the indivisible,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Number 6, certification compliance open meeting laws.
This meeting was noticed to the media and the public as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. Number 7, the meeting agenda. The agenda is set. Number 8, public comment. If you wish to speak to the board, we ask you stay within 3 minutes. State your name and address. And you can tell us what you want to tell us. The first person is Mr. Jim Davison.
Tim Davison, 10699 West Twin Bay Road, Hayward, Wisconsin. I'm talking on behalf of the Sawyer County Snowmobile Alliance. Last week on the 10th, at the Public Works meeting, it was mentioned that we were going to have on for discussion tonight about opening and marking ATV, UTV routes within the Lakota tribal area. I see it's not on for tonight, and I'm just questioning that. I know you can't answer, but I'm just stating that. I think we need to try to work out to make these routes safer for everybody. We have UTVs that do want to ride the trails. We have UTVs that do want to ride the roads. It's been well received within the county with all the traffic on the roads. No major issues at all anywhere within any of the townships. We're just trying to make it safer for everybody and make it easier for people to access the businesses within the LCO. I noticed when I was driving into town tonight that the Big Fish Golf Course has really come a long ways. It looks fantastic. There's people there all the time. Just think if that was in the reservation farther and we couldn't get to it by cars, they would not have the business. And that's the way the UTV community feels about going through the reservation to get to businesses throughout the Chippewa flowage. I just think we need to all work together and make it safer for everybody. And I mean all as in Sawyer County Snowmobile Alliance, the Lakota Ray, and the county could work on this to make everything safer. I would like to see this put on as an agenda item in the future and work this out. Also want to make a note that if we can get this done in a timely fashion, it would save us a lot of time and energy in map printing. We send our maps out for print in the end of October, and it's a cost of about $25,000 we spend every year printing maps. And it would be nice to get them on the maps this year. It's been talked about in the past several times. I wish we could resolve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy? Nancy's going to speak. You also have a letter dated March 4th. Colin Davison.
Yes.
You have a copy in front of you?
I do. So last fall, this board approved the concept of the Sawyer County Airport expansion, which includes roads being moved, 70 additional hangars, 9 homes to be removed on Namakagon Lane, with 6 more potentially being moved on the south end of Airport Road, extending the runway to 6,000 feet, new control towers, new lighting systems, new terminal buildings, waste management systems, new fuel tanks, just to name a few, all of this to occur along the Namakagon River. In response to this, 3 federal agencies, the DNR, the National Parks, and and the Army Corps of Engineers met this past winter to discuss the impact this expansion will have on the environment and sent the following letter, which all of you have a copy of, to Colin Davidson, who is the project manager for this airport expansion for the Wisconsin Board of Aeronautics, expressing their opposition to any expansion of the airport. A copy was also sent to Sawyer County Zoning. At this time, I would like to respectfully bring to your attention the highlights of this 2.5-page letter. Dear Colin, and this is paragraph 1, sentence 2, we have consistently stated in the past, along with the National Park Service and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, that if additional development is necessary, such as the proposed runway relocation, we recommend looking at alternative locations for the airport. Paragraph 2, about the middle. According to figure IA on page I3, a master plan should include how the issues will impact the environment and potential environmental insensitivities. We feel that the information in Table 5C, this is in the airport expansion plan, does not address the broad list of environmental concerns adequately, as the master plan will be used to inform the breadth of the National Environmental Protection Agency study. Paragraph 3, further development is simply not compatible with this location because of the Namakagon Scenic Riverway, the unnamed trout stream, and the forested wetland complex located on the airport's east side. Paragraph 4 at the very end, contrary to what is stated in the master plan, a thorough wetland alternatives analysis must include all practicable alternatives, including the no-build option and the relocation option. For instance, based on current information available, it appears that the no-build option would maintain the airport's ability to accommodate aircraft for the majority of operations and would likely be considered a feasible alternative to filling and impacting over 70 acres of ASNRI wetlands. As a concerned resident and an engaged member of our community, I urge you to carefully study this document and vote against the proposed airport expansion. This plan poses a serious threat to the preservation of the Namakagon Scenic Riverway and could displace at least 15 families who call this area home. Protecting our natural resources and community members must remain our top priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Linda Zilmer.
Linda Zilmer, Edgewater property owner, resident of the village of Birchwood. And my public comment tonight ties in partially with Mr. Davidson's comments. I have a couple of requests of the county board, the county administrator, and the county clerk that before next month's committee agendas and county board agendas go out, that the presiding officers, whether it be the county board chair or the committee chair, coordinate with the county administrator and the county clerk as to what is reasonable public notice on the agendas. I think each of those people have a responsibility. I know the clerk testifies as to compliance as far as providing the notice, but I think the sufficiency of the notice has been really lacking lately. And so Mr. Davidson addressed the ATV, UTV route agenda item that he thought should have been on tonight's county board. I believe that the notice for that county committee meeting was improper. It was insufficient. It just said ATV, it said ATV, UTV routes, discussion and possible action, or discussion and action. That does not reasonably inform the public. It did not inform the public that it involved opening county highways within the reservation. It didn't talk about opening other areas. It did not talk about closing routes. It was insufficient. So if you listen to the recording of that meeting, there was a lot of discussion. There was no motion. There was no second. There was no vote. It was simply discussion that it should be on tonight's county board agenda, and it was like a consensus agreement. So I can see how the public would be confused as to why it's not on tonight's agenda. A similar concern I have with inadequate public notice and information has to do with an action item for tonight, which is the land exchange for the fish trap dam. Now, for any of you who have been on the committee or on the board, when the forestry committee or when forest lands are exchanged, there's a lot of information that's provided both to the committee and the county board as far as the parcel that's privately owned, the parcel that the county owns. There's maps, there's a discussion of the land values, and so I do not believe that you have sufficient information to act tonight. Also, with regard to the airport, I think that's been a longstanding matter that the public has brought to the attention of the county as to really investigating alternate sites. And the county seems to have not listened or even made the attempt to consider it. So I hope you do that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody online, Alex? Thank you. Number 9, consider approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, which was August 21st. Motion by Mr. Duffy, second by Mr. Lozinski to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 10, Sheriff's Department ratification of union contract. It has been gone through labor negotiations, and it sets in front of us for approval. I'll make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the Sheriff's Department ratification of the union contract.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. Righeimer.
Yeah,
to approve.
discussion, Chairman. Can we hear from the finance director on how that's gonna affect our budget for 2026, please?
We settled that amount that I had within the budget. We settled a 3-year, and the first year fits within what I had projected.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 11, zoning committee chair report. Mr. Buckles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The zoning committee will hold its monthly public hearing tomorrow. At that meeting, the committee will again discuss the elements related to camping cabins, park model trailers, and potential max percentages of those units within a licensed campground. This was remanded back to the committee by the county board last month. The zoning department remains extremely busy with land use permits and site visits. As of today's date, 463 land use permits have been issued this year, with several others pending final issuance. Permit numbers are still above last year's numbers. If there's no other questions, I will turn it over to Jay for the 2 rezone cases.
Good evening. We have 2 rezone cases this evening. This is rezone number 25-006 Duffy Development LLC. It's in the town of.
Thank you.
This is located in the town of Round Lake, parcel number 0247410733302. Purpose of the request is to rezone 0.998 acres of agricultural 1 to residential recreational 1 to be able to build a residential dwelling. This would then be a permitted use under the Sawyer County Code of Ordinances, Appendix D. Shoreline Wetland District is not subject to change as part of this request. Initially, the applicant had requested a special use application from the town of Round Lake. The town of Round Lake was hesitant as to grant this, in that this is an existing agricultural 1 zoned property that is less than 5 acres. Sawyer County requires a minimum of 5 acres for agricultural 1. It is unknown as to the how, why, or when this parcel was created, but it appears to be an old remnant parcel that would still have the A1 zoning jurisdiction. The town of Round Lake eventually did approve the special use application, but they conditioned it upon the rezone ratification, and that is why we are here tonight. This property is very near other agricultural uses, but it is currently a wooded lot and a vacant lot. The lot is also immediately adjacent to other residential houses. As part of the action by the Town of Round Lake, the rezone request was approved as a vote of 5-0 on their August 14th town board meeting. 6 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners, 0 comments received. Sawyer County Zoning Committee public hearing, August 15th. It was recommended for approval, vote 5-0. The findings of facts included within my staff report.
Thank you. Mr. Schuman.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve rezone number 25-006 following the zoning committee's approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Schuman, second by Mr. Evans. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
And this is letter C. This is rezone 25007, owner Matthew Stefanski. This is in the town of Draper. Parcel 006 33906 3401. It is 39.86 total acres zoned forestry 1. Purpose of the request is to rezone from forestry 1 to agricultural 2. This is to then have 4 beef cattle and horses. That would be less than 15,000 pounds of animal. This would meet the requirements then of the Sawyer County Code of Ordinances, Appendix D, Section 17.5, Parent A, Parent 2. In conversations with the applicant, they're interested in a hobby farm type of operation. They currently have several horses that they would like to keep at the property, including the ability to raise several beef cattle. The A2 zone district would allow for this type of operation. As part of this request, they have also been issued a land use permit in hopes that if the rezone is approved, they would also be building a barn to house said animals. The subject rezone is located off of Highway 70, about 2 miles east of Loretta Draper. Surrounding land use is predominantly forest with mixed rural residential. There is a large amount of existing A2 zone property, approximately a half mile to the west, as to not be viewed as spot zoning. There were 5 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners. 0 comments were received. At the Town of Draper Town Board meeting, it was voted to approve. It was vote 3-0 on August 11th. Sawyer County Zoning Committee public hearing on August 15th, recommended to the County Board of Supervisors, is a vote 5-0 with the findings of fact included in my staff report.
Thank you. Mr. Schuman.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the rezone number 25-007 as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Schuman, second by Mr. Slavinsky to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Letter E, resolution to amend Sawyer County official zoning maps. Do you have anything to do there?
No, I just can make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. Slavinsky to approve the resolution to amend the Sawyer County official zoning maps. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 12, Public Works Committee report. I'll take that. Under maintenance, we have a new maintenance administrator. His name is Rick Smits. He replaced Tim Hagberg, and he's been doing a wonderful job so far. He's new, and I think he'll do absolutely fine. Under the airport, Mr. Leslie gave us a written report, and he said the airport's busy, and he's waiting for future items to come forward. There is no update on the master plan at this time. And under Highway Department, our commissioner always keeps everybody busy, and they've worked on CC Bridge. Oh, and it's almost complete, but they are presently working on that. And they've been brushing or mowing the roadsides. And that concludes my report unless someone has some questions. Hearing none, we'll move forward. Letter B, we don't need, so we'll go to number 13, Public Safety Report. Mr. Buckles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Public Safety Committee met on September 4th. Circuit Court written reports will be provided to the committee every other month. A written report was provided with information on jury trials, new cases filed, and revenues collected from the clerk of courts, sheriff's department, patrol. Written report was reviewed by Lieutenant Rapinski. Calls have decreased with 742 received in August. There has been 15 crashes in August, 192 year-to-date with 0 fatalities at the time of the report. The department will assist the Chalk 40 Fat Tire Race on September 13th and the Stone Lake Cranberry Festival on October 4th. A jail report was written in August, and Lieutenant Waller, there are 60 average inmates incarcerated with 66% of unemployment rate of time of booking. Code enforcement, a written report was given in August or in September, and in addition to the animal calls, the tourist rooming house inspections, data collections, and unlicensed rentals are underway. Dispatch and emergency management, written reports were provided with information on staffing system updates, numbers, types of calls per hour. Director Rapinski reported that call numbers are down. For August, dispatch has received 11,147 calls year to date. The implementation of the Rapid SOS unit technology conjunction on Exxon body cams is proving to be very useful in pinpointing callers and responding to scenes. The meeting was held with the Tribal Governing Board on WOJB Tower, and the LEPC held its special meeting for a hazard mitigation plan. A child report was given, 1,075 cases. In July, court orders, paternity establishment and collection statistics. Mrs. Okamoto is hosting several counties for physical training at the time of the meeting. Emergency services, Mr. Fremo presented the reviewed report on ambulance runs. Sawyer County EMS responded to a total of 1,294 calls during this reporting period with an average response time of 10.6 minutes. City and Hayward continued to have the most calls, followed by Bass Lake. The department has stopped the bleed class for the Hayward High School teachers and covering the Hayward High School and the winter football games and other higher risk events region as part of their outreach and recruitment efforts. The medical examiner's report shows 49 death investigations conducted this year and over 300 interactions with cremation permits, death verifications, insurance, and police requests, with law firm requests, family and caretaker support, and hospice follow-ups. At that time, Mr. Martin did not have no CJCC report. The WOJB Tower, Mr. Barker reported that the WOJB Tower was discussed at the meeting with LCO on August 19th. The next step is involved GenCom specifications for review by the Tribal Governing Board. That ends my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Number 14, Land, Water, Forestry Resources, Mr. Carrion.
Thank you. Our Land, Water, and Forestry Committee met on September 10th, at which time we received a Register of Deeds update from Ms. Thompson. She reported that August revenues were high with numerous real estate and vital records transactions. Land records and the county surveyor department both provided written reports to the committee. And the county forestry report from Mr. Peterson reported that 10 timber sales were active in the month of August. There's approximately $4.3 million worth of sold and uncut timber on file, and gross timber sales to date are at $1.65 million. It's for a sure thing that will exceed our budgeted $1.85 million total for the year. Oak wilt treatment of infected trees continues. Carbon credits were presented to a potential buyer last month, and the program appears to be moving along. Revenue is expected by the end of 2026. Wisconsin DNR report, Mr. Morris reported that 531 of 2,217 county hours for sale establishment and recon have been completed in 2025 to date. The DNR is doing site preparation for White Pine and Oak regeneration. The Fall County Partnership meeting is next week. U.S. Forest Service report from Mr. Martin gave a quarterly report on Great Divide timber sales and projects. Day Lake will be drawn down in late 2026 for dam repair. The Western Zone Aspen and Fir project is being planned to manage aging stands in an area from Bayfield to Medford. The department is reconstructing 11 miles of Forest Road 164, managing oak wilt and preparing trails for the change of seasonal use. In the motorized trails report, Ms. Schroeder reported that Sawyer County has had big turnouts for organized rides and high off-road trail activity, and trails are expected to stay busy for the fall color rides. The association is aware of speed complaints in some areas and is cooperating with law enforcement to maintain safety. Mr. Kozlowski gave a zoning and conservation department report and reviewed the a written report. The town of Winter has approved funding for the Price Dam repairs and preliminary work is underway. Mr. Kozlowski presented a formal proposal for a land swap needed to repair the Fish Trap Dam. And the county will trade an upstream parcel for a similar parcel downstream to allow a better design. So I guess I will turn, for more details on the Fish Trap Dam swap, I'll turn it over to Jay Kozlowski. He has volunteered to handle this part for me.
Thank you again. So this would be as item B. So this is the proposed county land swap for land on the Fish Trap Dam. So there are maps provided in the packet there. This was something that was requested as well as recommended from our engineer on the Fish Trap Dam replacement project. The design for the dam that he has in mind is more of a rock roller chute dam. With that type of dam proposal, there's quite a bit of rock riprap that's installed further below our current dam site. That land is not owned by Sawyer County. So it's proposed that we would swap 2,357 square feet, which is 0.5 acres, with the equal amount of 2,357 square feet with the adjacent property owner. That adjacent property owner owns all the land around us. We have an island in the middle of his property. So again, the land swap is really needed to complete the actual repair work on the dam. As of 5 p.m. today, Chris Gregory, the county surveyor, has provided a certified survey map to me as to the actual outlots that will be created. Once that CSM is recorded, it will then go to Corporation Council to prepare a warranty deed in which the actual deeds will then be exchanged. What I'm seeking here from County Board tonight is approval to go ahead and do that. As the signee, as at least what I've heard in statutes, you would then designate the county clerk to be the signee for that warranty deed, and then the adjacent property owner, Mr. Stephen Perry.
Mr. Buckles.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the Fish Trap Dam land swap.
With the county clerk.
Yes, county clerk, yes.
Ms. Hessel.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Ms. Hessel. Any discussion?
Yeah, I do, Chairman, real quick. Jay, so the county owns the land where the dam actually is, right?
Yeah, if you can go to one of those other slides, there's a larger overview one. So that one. So that little blue, I don't know, diamond type shape is what we as Sawyer County actually own. And then if you scroll back down again, and it's a little hard to see on that, but the yellow is what we currently would be obtaining from Mr. Stephen Perry, and that blue teal up there is what we would be trading to him. And again, he is the full adjacent landowner all around us. We have an island in the middle of his property.
Got it. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 15, Health and Human Services Board. Ms. Wilson. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. The Health and Human Services Board met on September 9th. We had a presentation from Ms. Gauge reporting on the Elder Center is up and running, and the LCO community has identified a need for increased respite care workers so people can remain in their homes. The ICW-161 agreement is under review. The okay, how do you pronounce that?
Lorraine Gauger.
The Wellness Center is, thank you, serves as a cultural healing center for the tribe. LCO University dorms are now open. The administration, Ms. Lyons announced the retirement of 2 staff members, Kathy Garby, who's been with the county since 1987, and Joyce Knowlton, who joined the staff in 2020 and has been instrumental in setting up emergency management and the Medical Reserve Corps, and they're going to have a small retirement party for them. In Aging and Disability, Ms. Martin updated the committee on adult protected services and upcoming benefit booth at LCO, dementia tools, and the 19th Annual Caregiver Conference on 9/26. WRLS radio spots, dementia detectives, and dementia programs at the library. Ms. Carlson reviewed a report on CLTS, CST, and CCS referrals and staffing under behavioral health. And we reviewed the community support and mobile crisis report. There were 48 CSP clients in July and 7 mobile crisis consults. Assessor Sands completed 4 OWI assessments in the month and 38 for the year. She's also working hard to establish CCS, reestablish CCS in the community. We have 6 clients in coordinated services, and they're discussing working on collaboratively with Joint Justice Diversionary Program by offering CTS to qualified juveniles. There are 53 clients in long-term support. The mental health cost by client report was reviewed for out-of-county placements continue to be an expensive concern for the county. Under the Child, Youth, and Family Services, there were 11 referrals in July, 3 were canceled and closed. There were 9 current out-of-home placements, and there were 3 secure detention holds. Ms. Lyons presented a Northern Income Maintenance Consortium report, and they are striving to meet the requirements for continued federal funding. There were 7,331 calls for the consortium. There was 97 to 99% had received the calls and were completed. There were 1,079 food shares for a total of 275,779 benefits issued. There was 1,343 Badger Care Plus people interviewed with 159 long-term care. Ms. McCollum stated there were 23 confirmed cases of measles in Wisconsin. The clean sweep was held on September 16th. Walk for Tomorrow suicide awareness events will be held at the Hayward and Winter Schools later in the month. There's a community stakeholder meeting on October 30th at the LC University to follow up on CHIP planning and gap analysis. She discussed the vaccine hesitancy and stated that statistics show that MMR vaccination is effective. Then Matt McKay gave us a report on the tourist rooming house licensing and the likely need to amend the county ordinance once the state officially amends their ATCP 72. The expected changes will affect resorts, multi-unit rentals, and specialty lodging. That means people like yurts and no water and sewer and unusual, to me, specialty lodging. He said that we went from 600 tourist rooming house licenses to 550 with the licensing completion, but there were 25 new applications and there were 17 that were discovered by their search engine to be operating without a license. So we'll soon be up to 600. We reviewed the budget, and Mr. Savitsky shared a report that the Meals on Wheels program will be underfunded for 2026. So an assessment of need will take place for the Meals on Wheels, talking about the Senior Resource Center. And that's all for that meeting.
Thank you. Letter B, appointment of LCO liaison Lorraine Legault to the Youth Health and Human Services Board. Discussion and possible action. For those board members that don't know, Health and Human Services has a board where the rest of the, have a committee, and the board is appointed a total of 9. And some of them are representatives from LCO, so this is to replace the position in LCO. Mr. Schuman.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the LCO liaison position to the HHS board to be Miss Lorraine Gouget.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Schuman, second by Ms. Wilson to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Finance Committee, Mr. Righeimer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee met on September 11th. Mr. Lehner provided a written report for the Treasurer's report on sales of INREM parcels and real estate tax collections. As of September 1, there are 1,065 delinquent 2024 tax parcels for a total of $842,126. Total delinquent taxes owed to the county for all years is a little over $1.2 million. Ms. Johnson from the Senior Resource Center presented to the group on the 2026 budget request. SRC is asking for $55,000 to cover the cost of Meals on Wheels. If the program funding is inadequate, an assessment of the 400 clients will have to be utilized to determine who qualifies for meal deliveries. Voluntary donations of $7 toward a $14 meal are not covering the growing expenses. Other SRC programs are self-sustaining. The Meals on Wheels drivers are valuable resources for outreach and wellness checks on homebound seniors. Mr. Markman provided a Finance Department report, reviewed the sales tax revenue for July, budget performance reports for August 25, and July CIP purchases. On the preliminary budget, Mr. Margan, this is for 26, Mr. Margan presented a preliminary workup of the 26 budget. Starting deficit was approximately $3.2 million, reduced by balancing to approximately $383,000 to be drawn from the fund balance. New net construction and sales revenues are up. Many expenses have also increased. The overall levied taxes are estimated to decrease 1.22% for 26. Sawyer County has the lowest tax rate among 8 neighboring Northwest Wisconsin counties. I think we should all feel very good about that and proud of that. That's my comment. That's not in the notes. Department financial updates, the HHS budget reports. Mr. Markin reviewed December 24 financials and August 25 revenues and expenses for HHS. 25 year-to-date revenues are 65% of budget, expenses are 68%. Veteran budget reports, Mr. Markin reviewed the 24 financials and August 25 revenues and expenses for veterans. 25 year-to-date revenues are at 40% of budget, expenses are at 57%. For an investment review and update, July investment report was provided. Interest rates are still holding above 4%. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Letter B, preliminary 2026 budget presentation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has been the most difficult budget to put together. This is a preliminary look, but we are pretty well nailed down at this point. The state has come out with their actual revenue limit calculation, and it was within a couple $100 of the one I had put together. So now we're pretty well set with where we're at. Just some highlights. Net new construction for this year is, if you can scroll down, Alex, 1.457%. That equates to about $152,000 in new money. That is the highest rate of net new construction we've had in the last 15 years. And I think for the third year in a row, that's been a new high for us. So that's encouraging. I've got budgeted for non-union staff, a 2% salary increase in January, 1% in July, and then steps at 1.25% as scheduled. Those increases are in each department's budget. It's not a one line item contingency. Just wanted to point that out. Health insurance is budgeted at 5% increase. We are going to beat that again this year. We have a flat renewal again, so that's the second year in a row we've had a flat renewal after a -5 renewal the year before. So we're very happy with how we're doing on health insurance. We've put a lot of work into wellness and just putting out information, and it's worked very well for us. Sales tax revenue had flatlined last year from the previous year. This year we are trending up again. I think we're about 7% ahead of budget, or 7% over last year, so that's a good movement upwards. So I did budget an increase there. And one thing that we've seen a little decrease in is our interest income revenue, which had been very good the last 3 years, and it's gone down a little bit over this past year. Still strong, very much improved over when I first came here, and we were getting about a 0.25% return. The rates have obviously gone up since then, but it's gone down a little bit. And this is the first year, part of why we had a little bit tougher budgets, first year without a new revenue source. We've seen sales tax increase pretty rapidly. We saw investments income increase rapidly. And we still have very strong timber sales. And then we had a shared revenue increase 2 years ago, and now we don't have any real new money other than the net new construction. So that was contributed to why this was a little bit more difficult.
Chairman, I got a question for Mr. Marker.
Sure.
Does the sheriff's union ratification kind of mirror what our non-union people are getting in a rate? I know in previous years, we used to keep that about the same, so there wasn't competition amongst the departments.
We tried to keep that in mind. Over the 3 years, about a 16%. So it's comparable. It's a little bit above. They were a little bit more behind.
Non-union are a little above, or sheriff's department?
The union is a little above the non-union over the course of the 3 years.
Okay.
But we were a little behind neighboring counties with our deputies, so that's part of the reason we did that. The next slide, this shows the levy limit exemptions. I mentioned the levy limit calculation that just came out in early September. There are 6 exemptions to that. The ones in yellow are the ones we take advantage of: bridge and culvert construction and repair. That's a smaller one. I think we're looking at about $60,000 this year. Countywide EMS, which is the ambulance service, that's outside the limit. Payments to public libraries, payments to general obligation debt, and then 2 that we haven't taken advantage of are property and casualty insurance premiums and court-ordered placements. So those are 2 things we monitor. We have not had to do that to this point. Next is a little charts showing our net new construction along with the county valuation. So you can see the last 4 years, there's been quite an increase in both. They do correlate. If you have a lot of net new construction, obviously the valuation's gonna go up. The valuation's gone up at a faster rate than net new construction, but it is encouraging to see both increasing. You can see we had some years where it actually went down for a little bit, stayed pretty flat for a while, and now we've been increasing fairly rapidly. This year's increase was less than years past, but still very strong. It is encouraging to see such a high net new construction number because it's always got to get above just the valuation increase too, so it's always encouraging to see that number go up. So these are two requests that I don't have in the budget. First one is through HHS, CJCC has requested a grant writer. With the budget being tight the way it is, I don't see how we could fit that in unless we did it a different way. I'm also looking at different ways we could get grant writing services without actually hiring a full-time person to do that. I think jumping right in would also be tough because just the workload wouldn't be there until we get something in place. So there are grant writing companies that will take a percentage of any grant they're awarded. Doesn't cost anything until something is awarded. So that's one thing we could look at. If we did decide to add a grant writer, to do it in a way that would not affect county operations. If you remember, about 3 years ago, counties received the LATCF funding, which is local, not assistant, yeah, Local Assistance Tribal Consistency Fund. So that was part of the ARPA money to try to put back some revenue that we may have lost through COVID shutdown. So we have that money, it's about $650,000. We have not touched it. I've kind of kept it as a rainy day fund and also for something that we wanted to invest in. If the board thought that investment in grant writer was a good idea, that's where I would recommend drawing that from. So that it wouldn't have to take from something else within the general fund. It would take away from our rainy day fund, but not a direct cut somewhere else. And then the second one, the ambulance directors asked for a 0.50 FTE for support. That is the only large department over 20 employees that does not have any support. So there is a lot of merit to doing that. I would have to rework the budget to fit that in. A halftime isn't very costly, especially for a secretarial type position. There would be no benefits included in that. So it wouldn't be a big cost, and I could work with John and possibly even fit it into his requested budget as well. So then getting into what was requested, and this was mentioned earlier that the requested deficit was about $3.2 million. And that was split basically between the general fund and HHS, which is a transfer from general fund to HHS, or a fund balance draw from HHS own fund balance, which we were able to do for 2025. We've had escalating, particularly out of county placement costs. There are some other contractual costs in HHS as well that have contributed to their growing deficit. 2 of the last 3 years, we've actually done a transfer from the general fund of 1.3 million to make them whole again, or actually build up their fund balance. In 2022, they had a really good year. They came in under budget about $600,000. We contributed 1.3 million of surplus funds from 22 to get their fund balance up to about $2 million, which is what they're able to draw from this year. That will be largely depleted at the end of this year, so it will require a transfer from general fund again this year, which I'll get into in a little bit. So that was what we were faced with, which is why I lost a lot of sleep for about 5 or 6 weeks until we were able to have meetings with departments and get to where we could come up with a workable budget. Next slide, please. So this is getting into some of the adjustments that I'm recommending. The first is a senior resource center reduction from their request. And I will have a slide later that shows kind of a trajectory of what we've given them, what they've requested last year, and then what we've given them over the past 5 or 6 years. But they requested they have 2 sources of income from us. One is a pass-through grant that is just under $80,000, and then the rest is just an allocation from county revenue streams. So they asked for just under $235,000. I'm recommending $225,000, and that's an increase of $5,000 over 2024 25, but it is a savings of almost $10,000 from requested budget. Then I'm gonna look at some revenues here. We've generally budgeted very conservatively on the revenue side. Then we've been left with surpluses at the end of the year, which has allowed us to transfer to HHS in the past, but I did meet with some departments and asked for increases in the revenue more towards what we've been seeing as the actual revenue. So in the budget, the Forest Department requested 1,665 for revenues, that's stumpage sales. We've been hitting well over that in the past few years. We were just under 2.5 million for 24, and we're on a good pace for 25 as well. So my recommendation is put that budget number at $2 million. It's under what we've hit in the past, but it does give us that much more revenue in the budget.
Chairman, I got a question for Mr. Markren. What happens to our interest earned on our money? I mean, past couple of years, we're always bragging about getting over 4% on our money. Is that money added to our revenue stream?
It's a budgeted revenue stream, yes.
Okay, but
Into
it's
the
not
general
listed here.
fund. No, because that's one that I budget, so I budget according to what I feel we're going to get. So there's no adjustment from the requested budget there. These are all adjustments. The next one is a small county forest aid revenue that was not budgeted for. I asked to put $20,000 in, and that was agreed upon. For 2024, we took in $37,000. So that's another one we should be able to reach. County court revenue, circuit court revenue. This isn't all the revenue sources in each of these departments. These are the ones that I'm asking to increase, and I talked to the department heads regarding those. So there are 3 different sources within circuit court that I asked to take a look at. The amount budgeted was $133,000, and I recommended going up to $185,000, which is an increase of $52,000. We did hit $187,000 in 2024. And then Register of Deeds, that was 2 streams of money there. The budget number was 185. I asked to increase that quite a bit, up to 295. But we hit $317,000 in 2024. So again, well within what we saw in 2024. Surveyor revenue, this is a small one, but every dollar counted when we were faced with that kind of a budget deficit. So that one we increased 4,500. I think we hit $18,000 in 2024. Sheriff's revenue, that one I asked to go from 48 to 90, and again, I think we hit 117,000 in 2024. So all of those should be well attainable and makes our budget a little more realistic. The next slide then looks at some revenue or expenses I asked to make changes to. The first one, IT asked for quite an increase over 2025 budget. They requested and this again is 3 different expense items, not their whole budget, but they asked for $407,000. I asked them to look at going down to $317,000 for a savings of 90. Those 3 categories in 2024 were just under $250,000. So I'm hoping we can be within that. Looking at Register of Deeds, there was actually an expense that was missed in the requested budget, so I put in $20,000 there. That's a Laredo expense, a program that we use. And then contingency, that's just a $897 increase. That is just a plug figure to make the revenues and expenses equal out in the end. The next one is a little bit confusing, so I'll try to describe it the best I can. We have an HRA along with our health insurance. An HRA, the form that we use it is basically a form of self-insurance. We're saying we're paying for a deductible that's up here. We're buying it down through county money down to this level so that that's what the employee pays. So ever since we put that in, we've been funding it 100%. We've built up a fund balance of over $500,000 in there, which we needed to do because when we made this money used to stay with the employee. If they didn't spend it, they got to keep it. That was changed about 8 years ago, I believe. So now if they don't spend it, the county gets the money back. We kept funding that to get it up to $500,000 because anyone who was here prior to that change was grandfathered in. So they still have the money that they had built up when that change was made 8 years ago. So we have that liability that we need funding for. So we got that up to an amount where we had the liability covered. So now that we have that covered, I analyze what our spend is actually versus what we fund it with, and it's traditionally been about 50%. So out of that gap in our deductible that we're funding versus what the policy says, we spend about half of that. So we can draw back half of that annually now to help offset the other expenses. So that's in the budget now. Any questions on that? It's a long explanation for kind of a complicated expense, but all right, I'll move on if there are no questions. So then I worked a lot with HHS. We had several meetings, looked at how we're doing things, how we could save money, how we could generate more revenue. And there were some areas there. There's a program called CCS, which is more of an all-encompassing program that we can bring others in. It's kind of a wraparound care. And there's better funding for that than some of them individually. So that's the major increase in the revenue that we're showing there from the requested budget. And then on the expense side, we're really monitoring some of those placements, both in county and out of county. And we're working on programming to hit those before they actually get to that type of expense. And we've been very successful on the adult side of that. Our adult placements used to be really, really high. And that's when we had to do large transfers to HHS in the past. That was to make them whole again because of those expenses. Well, we've done some programming on the front end now that has really cut down on that expense later on, and it's been very successful. So now what we've seen in the last 3 years is the placements on the youth side have really increased. And there are different reasons for that. But we're now initiating some programming to try to get to those kids before it gets to that level. So we're hoping for the same success we've had on the adult side with the younger kids now to hit that off before it gets there. So all that together did make, there's still almost $1 million deficit in HHS, but that was an amount we could bear through some of these other changes we've made. So all of that said, the final adjustment to our deficit is $383,000 basically. And that is something we have fund balance to draw from to do. Right now, our unassigned fund balance is about 54% of annual expenses. Our county policy says at least 30%, so we're well above that. So this is going to be a process to get these changes that I talked about down to where it's a net zero. So we can use our fund balance to offset for a few years until we get to that point. And 3 years down the road, 2 years down the road even, we're hoping to start seeing some real revenue from carbon credits. So that will help our budget as well. So I always say we're always looking 5 years down the road with anything we propose, and that's kind of where we're at. We're always looking down there of what we're going to need down the future. Any questions there, how we got to that fund balance draw?
Yeah, I do real quick, because I sit on HHS with Ms. Wilson and others here, and the roadblocks to HHS revenue increase is hiring these positions and staffing for CCS so we can attract all these clients. And that's always been, I mean, Kay, you could chime in too, that's always been the problem there. That Ms. Lyons is.
There are other ways of doing it that we're looking at. We can have another county or another entity be over that program. Because one of the things in the past was that we had the same person as a head of it that would be the mental health counselor. And we're actually looking into if that can be the same person. I know there are other counties that do it that way. And so that would be an option, having another county oversee it. We're looking at everything. There's the grants right now, innovation grants, that if you work with other counties collaboratively that way, there's some funding for that for year one to get it going, so everything's on the table right now to get us to where we want to be. So the things that are making up the $1 million deficit with HHS are, after all these adjustments to the general fund, we ended up with about $120,000 surplus there. I'm anticipating a surplus from 2025 that will, which is listed there, the $300,000, that will put into, as a transfer to, I'd recommend transferring it to HHS at the end of this year for their own fund balance that they can draw from. And then the fund balance draw and the $145,000 from the HRA drawback that we can do. So that's how I'm getting to the almost $1 million deficit that we have. So then the next one, we'll take a look at our partner organization requests. So these are all the partner organizations that we contract with to perform duties for the county, things that we don't do on our own. And some of them fall within county levy revenue limit, some are outside of, and I'll talk about those. The ones that are starred fall within the operating levy. So they either have to come from operating levy money or another revenue source within the money we have. The ones that are not starred are outside of the levy limit and can be levied above the regular limit. So the first batch there are the libraries. So we've got a trajectory. I came here in 2022 mid-year, so that's kind of where I started, uses my starting point of what we've done the last few years. And you can see Northern Waters Library Service, that is a formula amount. So that increases a little bit each year, and you can see our trajectory for the last few years. The Weiss Community Library, you can see it jumped. It had been $200,000 for years and years. It jumped in 2022 to $210,000 because $10,000 of that was used with ARPA money that was given as a stimulus to the county. And at the time, the board elected to do that. So then the next year, when that stimulus money was all spoken for, we moved it back to $200,000, and we did that in 2024 as well. In 2025, I believe at the final meeting in November, when we set the levy, we increased it by $10,000 to get to the 210 again. For the 2026 request, they are asking for $245,000, which would be an increase of $35,000. My recommendation is to go to 215. It gives them a little bit of an increase, not what they're asking for. And the main reason I have for that is our budget is getting tighter. I had to work with departments to actually decrease their expenses or decrease their ask at least. My concern would be staff morale if we give a 17% increase to the library and we can, because that does not affect our general fund operations because that money comes from a levy outside the limit. But again, I have to look all of our staff in the face and say, we can't do that within, but we're doing it without. So that's my rationale only for this proposed budget. You guys can do whatever you want with that, but that is my proposal.
Mr. Markham, could I
Yes.
speak to that?
Sure.
The reason why the library had such a large increase is because we have some significant problems at the library. The bridge and the pier need major repairs. The urinals in the men's bathroom all have to be replaced. The tile and the floor have to be replaced around those urinals. The auto door closures, there are 4 of them at $700 each plus labor, have to be replaced. We've had an insurance claim on one of the doors slamming a lady in the back of the leg already, just recently. And we're afraid that in the women's handicap bathroom that the door is going to lock somebody in there. So all these door closures have to be replaced. And those are the top 3 that we came up with that will eat this increase faster than.
And Ann did an analysis that if we raise the taxes less than a penny per $1,000, it would cover all the requested increase.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I don't deny that they have the needs, and I know that the tax impact is minimal. With a $6 billion valuation, $30,000 is very minimal. I just gave my reason of why, and I appreciate the reasons to
I
do
gave
it.
mine.
Yep. So moving on then, Winter Public Library did not ask for an increase this year. And off to the right where it says formula, funding for libraries is guided by a state formula that is 70% of the allocated costs of circulation to the municipality. So that's where that the 122,000 is what we would be obligated to give to Weiss Library. And the $606 for winter, I want to put an asterisk next to that because they, and Donna, who runs that library, gave an explanation at Economic Development a couple months ago of why that was, but they did something so that they could increase their revenue from out of county, and it affected what their formula looks like for in county. So that's why that one is low. Then getting down to LCO, they always just ask for what their formula is, and their circulation was up quite a bit from last year, actually, almost back to, or actually above 2022 levels. And then the out-of-county libraries, again, we are bound to that formula for that, and that was down just a hair from last year. So those are the libraries, and then moving on to the ones that are within our levy limit and other general revenue sources. And I already talked about Senior Resource Center. Their ask was almost 235,000, and then I'm recommending 225. And then with that one, at the very bottom, you can see the breakdown between the grant and what we give out of, it says levy, it's really just general fund revenue streams. But you can see the trajectory from 2022 at 105,000 to what I'm recommending at $145,011 for 2026. Nemacolin Transit, they came in requesting $170,000. Their request for last year was $170 plus $10,000 in capital improvements that was added to their general ask at the final meeting in 2024 for 2025 to get to the 180. So that's actually is a decrease from what they were given last year. Hayward Lakes, I left level, they asked for level. Northwest Regional Planning Commission, that is another formulary amount that comes from all the counties that are involved with Northwest Regional Planning. The expenses are divided up and allocated out. The fair asked for what they received last year as well, and so did Sawyer County LCO Economic Development Corp. Yes.
Senior Resource Center, they requested 234, so what's our rationale for 10,000 less?
Every year they've asked for more, and we've increased it a little, not to the extent they've asked. Again, that one does come out of the general fund, so it's in lieu of something else or increasing the fund balance draw to meet their requested amount.
But it's not affecting our seniors or their meals throughout the entire county? Because I know there was always this argument down in Winter that they weren't getting services there. Does that matter or not?
Well, as Ms. Johnson reported at Finance last week, if we don't meet their ask, they will have to look at doing a certification of need with the people they're serving right now as an option.
Weren't we told that the Meal on Wheels was on jeopardy if they didn't get their funding? I mean, if we lose $10,000, does that mean they're gonna cut the Meals on Wheels? I mean, what effect does that have? It's kind of your question. What effect does that have on the program?
We don't dictate how they spend the money. If it was me, and I had to look at reducing $10,000 from expenses, that's what I would do. I would look at where can we trim and become more efficient? Are there things we can do to save? Can we look at, I think they're exceeding the amount of the meal. Like it's a generous portion. So those are all things I would be looking at.
You mean
we wouldn't
they're
lose-
eating too much or what?
What's that?
The seniors are eating too much, is that? Oh,
Meals
too
on
big a
Wheels is
portion.
delivered. It's not something they're coming and dishing up themselves. So those are just all things I would look at if it was me. And this is another one, if the board chooses to add that $10,000 back, I can find a way to make it work.
Continue on.
Mike?
Yes.
From a town's perspective, we were told many years ago that if we did room tax, the county would no longer have to support Hayward Lakes Association. Now, there are a number of towns that have room tax, and could that amount that's being contributed to them justify maybe cutting their amount?
That's something that's been talked about every year, and that is something the board could choose to do, yeah.
Mr. Chair, I got a question.
Yes.
Have we had anybody from the, I'm sorry, 1 second here. Hayward Lakes Association tell us what that amount is this year? I know we've had Sherry come up in the past and let us know how much those funds are, and then we made a decision off of that. Have we had that this year?
I get all that data, yeah.
And what are they getting in room tax this year?
I'm looking it up as we speak.
Because that was a very good question.
They run on a July to June budget, and for 24-25, they took in 283,716.
So do they still need that $50,000 on top of that? Seems like an awful lot of money.
I believe that the room tax can't pay every expense that they have, and they use the county supplement to pay those expenses that are non-qualifying for the room tax revenue they receive.
Right,
Okay,
and can
Mike.
you,
I'm sorry, I just wanted Mike to look into that a little further before we make a decision on that.
Yeah, you don't have to make any decisions tonight. We won't set the budget
Right.
levy until November.
This doesn't.
I'm just,
can,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
could you just confirm, when the townships set the room tax, a portion goes to the Hayward Lakes, the other portion goes to the townships for road improvements, correct? So it's not that you're setting the room tax just to support Hayward Lakes, correct?
I know they keep a portion. I don't know what it goes
It's
to.
70-30.
Or it's 80-20 in some townships, so
Yeah,
yours
it
could be
is different.
70-30.
70-30.
But if I could ask that we get through this so that we're not here till midnight, but also fact-based instead of feeling-based would be great.
All right. So moving on, I will try to speed up a little bit here. We still have some more things on the agenda. Looking at the preliminary revenues, There is an increase in taxes both between levy and I did budget more for sales tax because our trajectory is showing that we could. Intergovernmental revenue, that is our shared revenue, our aids and our grants. Licenses and permits, there's a little increase there. A lot of that is the new TRH, yes, TRH revenue that we're receiving. Public charges for service, the two main ones there are county stumpage revenue and ambulance service. And we are actually seeing an upward trajectory in our revenues for the ambulance service, so that's encouraging. The intergovernmental charges are a small amount. Miscellaneous, that looks like a big amount for miscellaneous. Those are donations. Like the $145,000 I mentioned, that will actually be a donation coming back from that liability account. The goofy thing with governmental fund accounting, a lot of things get overstated because you have to account for it in every different fund that it's hitting. So you overstate revenues and expenses that way. Also in our indirect costs, that is another one where we have a company that comes in and does a cost analysis of our like our central office and some other expenses, and then those are prorated out to different departments. We don't prorate all of them, we get a number for each, but we do prorate that amount for HHS, child support, and ambulance service because we can use grant money to pay for those costs, those indirect costs. That's why we allocate those out. And then interest revenue comes out of that one as well. And then for other funding sources, we've got things like fund balance draws, which we are drawing from the fund balance and again, transferring to HHS. And the transfers are also in there, and then capital items to come up with the total revenue, which is a little bit of an increase over last year. On the expense side, the general fund is increasing. A lot of that increase is due to the increase in the budgeted transfer to HHS. Like for instance, last year we didn't have a budgeted transfer, but then we ended up doing a large one. So this is budget to budget, so that's why it looks like it's quite a bit more. HHS is down just a little bit because of the way we're changing some of the things we're doing. Highway's got a little bit of an increase to keep up with our road construction there. Debt, the increase is due to the $2.825 million bond issue or note issue we did this summer for the enhancement of our emergency services communication project, and then a little bit of increase in our CIP, which we'll look at the next month's meeting. Capital, that is mostly due to that project that we'll be working on. We're starting it this year. Majority of it will be done in 2026. That's reflected there. And then the other, that's all of our special revenue funds. So anything, we've got a whole stack of 200 level funds. So this number is outside of HHS, which is also that. There are things like agents of the state. Sheriff's Department has 3 different ones. There's all kinds of different things that fall under that. There's a whole list, probably 40 to 50 different funds. Moving on to the property tax levy. This is a breakdown of what the levy's going to. The general fund seeing just a small increase. The ambulance tax levy is going up quite a bit. The reason for that, if you look, it's going back to kind of basically what the amount was in 2024. In 2024, we ended up with a surplus in ambulance. So we put that into a separate fund balance of its own. I drew from that in 2025, which we were able to reduce the tax levy because of that. So we're just going back to a kind of a normal amount there. Health and Human Services, pretty much like general fund, keeping it about the same. The next two are the same. Nemacoggin Transit, it should be transit, not transport. That one is reflecting that $10,000 decrease over last year. And then the debt service increasing for those couple things I mentioned. No ambulance purchase for the second year in a row, so that one is staying flat. And then increase in highway levy to come up with a total levy increase. We also have state charges that are, those are actually fees that are charged us for our out-of-county placements from other counties. So that's where that amount comes from. And then the very bottom line there, you can see the levy rate will decrease a little bit, but stay fairly flat. So any questions on any of that? And then the last slide here, well, I've got two more. This is showing the trajectory of the tax levy rate for the past 15 years or so. And for about the fifth year in a row, we're decreasing the tax levy rate. And then the last slide is kind of what was mentioned earlier. I was just curious, so I did a little study of the tax levy rates for the counties that touch us, that are kind of wrapped around Sawyer County. And for the 7th year in a row, we've had the lowest rate. And you can see what our average rate has been over those 7 years on the right there. And then also, I took an average for all of those counties for each year. So that's where those numbers are coming from. And then the bottom is there, we have had the lowest tax levy rate of all the counties for each of the last 7 years.
That's just a great slide and a great stat. Do you remember, what was the stat that the Hayward Lakes Visitor Bureau, if it wasn't for all the businesses and so forth, what was like the increase that probably would be for the, like $600 or something per, something like that? Does anybody recall that?
I think it was close to like $845 or something last year.
Per taxpayer.
Per taxpayer.
So like if it wasn't there, if we didn't have the robust business in the county, we could up that, we could lower that, I guess, and look worse. Because everybody would be paying $845 more. That's just an interesting stat, I think. Promising one.
All right, that's all I've got on the budget. We will hear more at the next 2 meetings.
Thank you for taking time to put it all together. I know it's a lot to it, and you've done a wonderful job.
No more sleepless nights there.
I feel a lot better now than I did for a while.
Number 17, Economic Development, UW Extension, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. We met on September 8th. University of Wisconsin Extension Report, Ms. Gregorian reported on the Sawyer County Clean Sweep, which will occur already occurred September 16th. This year there were 3 booths: medication and sharps, electronics, and clean sweep hazardous waste. The Hayward Lakes Visitors and Convention Bureau, Ms. Simons reported on website engagement along with the fall advertising campaigns, which include Mad Dog and Merrill, Chicago Parent, and Wisconsin Outdoors. Ms. Simons reported on a new billboard located on Highway 27 and gave updates on the upcoming color tour reporting. The Sawyer County LCO Economic Development Corporation report, Mr. Lamoro reported on the Lumber Exchange office plans, Next Era Energy Resources Company solar options for Sawyer County, WEDC Ignite, which helps startup businesses, rural virtual growth circles, and the upcoming scam and fraud workshop on October 8th. He spoke regarding the recent video releases, which includes Live, Work, and Play. He gave a report on the Thrive, and he also gave a report on the Thrive grant requirements. For the trail reports, Mr. Duffy reported on non-motorized trails. The Fat Tire Race was just past weekend, and I believe the Berkey Trail Run is upcoming weekend? A week from this, oh, okay, week after next weekend. He reported there are already 8,000 registrations for the upcoming Berkey Ski Race, and that ends my report.
Thank you. Number 18, County Administrator Report. Administration Committee report is the reports from the County Clerk. County Clerk, they are making the resolutions searchable online, and they're back to all the way to 1958. I think they've done a wonderful job getting that done. Town clerks are working to get the whiz vote training, which is gonna be an upcoming thing, and our county clerk has 3 trainings coming forward soon for with voting and the voting. She's finally made contact with the village of Coudray, and they have a clerk, I understand. So that's a positive. We also get Mr. Elliott from the Veteran Services, gives us information on how well they're doing out there, and they do a wonderful job. Mr. Colson provided a written report. They've changed your emailing address, updated information in case someone's still having problems with it. Come see them. Human Resource Report. Rose Lily Root gives us an update. It was a written report. And we talked about the Veteran Tribute update. We're still working on that. And the budget update. Mr. Markran gave an update in finance and administrative. He didn't quite give us so much information. That concludes my report at this time.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may I ask Mr. Rickheimer a question?
Yes.
Do you know if they're gonna be doing another one of those recycling of the electronics? I don't know if anybody went out there. It was unbelievable. They had 5 rows of vehicles. There had to be 200 vehicles out there of people trying to turn in their electronics for recycling. So I can't believe that half those people got in. So I was curious if you knew there's gonna be another one or not.
I'm not aware of it, that there's another one scheduled.
Yes.
Thank you.
There will be another event coming up in spring. We're going to set up the date and get the information out for the public. It will be recycling for electronics only at this spring event. And Clean Sweep will be in fall, as usually scheduled. Thank you.
Clean Sweep is twice a year, I believe, is that?
Clean Sweep is once a year, but the electronics was a grant application with partnership with Dynamics. And they were the ones that were collecting as a third party. And they only can run 2 events in 2025. We don't know anything what will happen for 2026. We'll try to push it, but it was a lot of cars. It was insane. It was very intense. So, but we got a lot of stuff out of people's homes. Thank you.
Thank you for the update. Thank you, Mr. Helwig.
Thank you.
County Administrator Report. Mr. Markman, please.
All right. I don't have as much to report on this month because I've been pretty focused on budget and a little bit on strategic planning too, but other than, and we're going to talk about strategic plan in just a moment, so I'll save that one. The airport, the last I had talked to Mr. Leslie, he does not have that closed yet, his loan closed to take over ownership of Hayward Aviation, but that's in the works. There's been nothing on the master plan again, no word, so that's still just out there. The Veterans Tribute, the only thing I would add.
Mr. Markin, before you go on, is there gonna
Sure.
be a vote on an airport expansion plan? Or has it already been approved?
I'm gonna turn that over to you because I don't know that for
Okay.
sure.
Last spring, last fall, I'm not sure, it must have been that's all. We approved the preliminary master plan. They're supposed to be bringing it back to us, I assume this year yet, for us to approve the final master plan. We have to approve the master plan to continue receiving funding. A second item would be, if the airport's going to expand, that would be called a project. I'm pretty sure they aren't gonna do a project, because with this spring, in the month of May, we just resurfaced the airport runway. And I believe that runway was there for over 20 years. It's supposed to be looked at 10 years. So you're looking at 10, 15 years before they're gonna be willing to put much more money into that. That's my opinion. Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. On the Veterans Tribute, the only thing I'd add is I did receive the draft report on the environmental study for the site, the Dairy Queen site. And it's 1,317 pages. I have not been able to run through it all yet. I did glance through some of it. We've reached out to get some clarification on what it really means to, and so that's kind of where that is sitting. For connections, I'll be going to the conference later this week now, or early next week, and I'm excited about that and make some connections with some more county administrators, and it's always just good to network. And then the radio tower network, as was mentioned, we had the meeting out at LCO that went really well. Great people to work with. GenCom then sent specifications out there that now LCO has sent back requesting more information there, and there's a little bit of back and forth there, but progressing well as far as I can tell. That's all I've got then.
Okay. Letter C, CJCC Committee Report.
The big report I've got out of there is we have Lorraine Gouget willing to serve on that committee as well. And she's going to be very good on both committees, very engaged, knows her stuff, asks a lot of questions. So the recommendation is to add her. That would be a discussion and action item as well.
So that'll be letter D, appoint LCO member.
Correct.
Gouget.
Yep.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman, to appoint Lorraine Gouget to the LCO members to the CJCC.
I'll second that.
A motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Ms. Wilson to appoint Lorraine Gouget to the CJCC committee meeting, or committee. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Letter E, strategic planning area focus.
All right, so for the month of August, you all remember me requesting that you fill out these little worksheets for your areas of focus for each committee meeting that you are, or committee that you are part of. We took all that information and compiled it, and what you have in front of you, this sheet here, I know it's hard to read, but I wanted to get it all on something you could see. So what we did then, all that information that you gave us, and it was great data, we came up with 11 groupings, and out of those groupings, there were 4 that had over 20 comments, and there were 3 that had between 5 and 10, and then 4 that had under 5. So we kind of had natural groupings within the groupings. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful people from Extension that have been waiting patiently to speak, Carl and Ariga, and let them take us to the next step here.
Can I just grab this, I hope?
You can,
All right,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you, everybody. My name is Carl Green. I'm the Local Government Education Program Manager. If anybody takes the spring WCA courses that we do every other year, you'll probably see me. So I'll look forward to seeing you in the spring of 2026. So we have tried to make this as easy for you, and we'll try to do this as quickly, to give us your feedback on the areas of focus that you think would be best for the county to really start to put attention to. And what we're going to do, so we've got 11 right now. We've taken all of your comments, distilled it down to 11 areas of sort of similar ideas. And we would like you to rank those 11 with your top 3. And then what we would propose is that we will take these back, and your administrator, Mike, will look at how can we bring these to the staff and basically operationalize this into efforts from the staff departments. So tonight what we'd like to do is we'll put these up on the walls over here, and we'll give you each 3 dots, and we're gonna ask for you to rank these areas of strategic focus that you had originally put your votes in, and we've then distilled. So
Can you read the 11?
Yep. Why don't we get those up here?
I'll go through those as she's putting them up.
Thank you.
So again, if you look at your sheets in front of you, and it's going to be hard to read, but all of your comments are within this, and it's broken down. On the left are the 11 areas of focus, and those are operational efficiency and innovation.
Why don't you grab the dots?
Workforce, retention, compensation, culture, and staff development. Customer service, budgeting and finance, affordable workforce housing, sustainability, facility and capital improvements, communication and transparency, substance abuse prevention, mental health, and other care services. And then if you look at the top of each page, it's got the departments that you oversee within your committees. So you can kind of see, and then I've got under, right above the gray bar for each category, there are mentions by department, and then total number of mentions way over on the right. So as you look through this, you can see not only how many total mentions there were, but which departments each of these categories were mentioned in. So you can kind of get a gauge on how widespread those areas of focus are. So you can take a minute to look through that on your own, and then we'll ask you to go up and put your three.
And the colors don't signify anything, right?
Colors mean nothing. You can vote, I would ask you to vote your top three rather than waiting and putting 3 votes to 1. I would also ask the people online, could you in the chat share your top 3? And that way we're recording the people online as well. They, I assume, have received the document.
They have not. I'll do that right now.
Okay. So why don't, while your administrator's doing that, if you're willing to, we've got the 11 categories up on the 4 pieces of paper there. We'd ask you to walk around, talk to your board members, and put your dots on 3 categories that you want to see the most activity in.
Right now, mental health is gonna be an awful high. Yeah, but, well,
Okay, we need. Can I get one more set of stickers?
Are
One more set
you
of
emailing
stickers.
that to us?
Yep.
Got it.
put them where they, when I have.
You guys get done with the one where there ain't any. Yeah, right. That way everybody's got it.
Did you guys go?
Selling votes.
Did you get the 2 from the guys online?
What I've asked for them to do is to send in the chat, and I'm assuming that can then get recorded? Okay, and so we'll have a preliminary with these, and we'll get a feel for what's the most popular, but we'll have to make sure that those don't change it that much.
I'm thinking about our name not. I'd like to just turn it over to
They can email, yeah, however they can communicate it to you. Okay, so we're asking the people online to reply to the administrator's email with your 3 categories. Again, we want to make sure that we capture everybody's from the board's responses. And then Mike will put those in once he receives them. Okay, once he receives your votes. Could I grab a pen? or a pencil?
Mhm.
What's that? Yep, and we'll just, they haven't replied yet.
Hey, Mike.
Hmm.
Hey, Mike.
All right.
My email doesn't work on my laptop.
Hmm. I have no idea how to chat on this thing.
My email doesn't work.
Thank you.
Doesn't sound like they're hearing you, Dale.
Dale, can you just tell us, please?
My email does not work.
Can
you verbally tell us?
Verbally? Hmm. Well, I don't have the document in front of me to look at.
Oh, so he's not receiving it, sorry.
Sorry.
I can do it tomorrow. Or you need a vote tonight.
What I would recommend is we can amend these, adding, and we'll have the records from the emails once the emails come in, but we'll amend the results. But I think we're starting to get a little bit of a feel for what we're seeing the most of. So it looks like putting some.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
can I send you mine verbally?
yes.
Mental health.
Just a moment.
Okay,
Sticker.
ready, Mike?
Yep.
Okay, so one is mental health, second is substance abuse, and third is sustainability.
Thank you.
And
Thank
that's
you.
sustainability. That's over here. Okay. And then do we just have 2 online that are voting, or is there?
Well, there's 2, but.
Correct.
Okay, so then we'll receive the other responses once we get those. So it looks like we've got the most for budgeting and finance, which got 9 votes. And then we've got a tie for affordable and workforce housing with operational efficiency and innovation. We've got workforce retention, compensation, culture, and staff development that ranked 5, and mental health that was also a 5. So it looks like budgeting and finance, operational efficiency and innovation, workforce retention, compensation, culture and staff development, and mental health are what's rising sort of to the top. And so again, what we'll propose is that your administrator will take this back, bring it to the staff, say these are the areas of focus that the county board has looked at and has put their interest in. How can we operationalize this? How can we start to put more efforts in, and what will that look like? Does that sound like a reasonable step for direction? Okay, okay, all right, thank you. We will record this and we'll work with your administrator, and we'll see you the next time. Thank you.
Mr. Magnuson will get your stuff tomorrow. We'll try to anyway. All right. Who's Number 19, Board Appointment Committee updates.
I have one, Mr. Chairman. The Nemacolin Transit Board met last Thursday, and I have our director's report. Ridership for August was 5,217, which is up 98 rides for August 2024. Their new dispatch computers should be here and installed about 2 weeks. CCS of Hayward will be installing them for them. The changes affecting the two deviated fixed routes took effect 9/2. The transition went very well. The riders have expressed they appreciate the added locations. They received the grant that will be applied to the pole building to store their fleet of transit buses. The building will not only protect them from vandalism, but also protect them from the harsh winters. They are very excited to start the planning process. They've just finished the 2024 audit conducted by CLA. April from CLA will be presenting our final audit report at the board's October board meeting. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Carrion.
Yes, I provided you all with a copy of latest annual report from Indian Head Community Action Agency. A lot of good information in here, give you a good view of what they're doing.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything they would like to share? Ms. Cecil.
And the walk that was spoke of earlier, it's the walk for tomorrow. It will be held in winter on Saturday at 5 o'clock, September 20th at 5 o'clock at the Winter High School track. And then September 26th at 4 o'clock at the Hayward High School track. So thank you for anybody that can attend.
Mr. Savinsky.
Yeah, for the Senior Resource Center, this upcoming month, we have nutrition staff training on October 1st and Living Well with Diabetes training on September 24th, 25th, October 1st, and the 2nd. They also have some evidence-based training for it's a 6-week class coming up. They're gonna have some equipment updates, including a new server for their computers and 3 new laptops. Other than that, we were talking through the budget process, and for the director's report, the process after budget is decided how many meals we can accommodate. All Meals on Wheels participants will go through an assessment. It will be placed on one of 3 levels based on the assessment. Red means high, yellow, moderate, and green, low. Why? It's because we don't have the capacity to serve, but we want to serve everyone. Stagnant funding, increased expenses, growing aging population. By 2035, the 60+ will be the largest population in Sawyer County. Demand exceeds capacity and the prevalence of malnutrition and nutrition risk. Also, in Sawyer County, we're seeing that over 50% of those receiving Meals on Wheels are not or unable to pay for their own meals.
Thank you for sharing. Anybody else have anything? Number 20, correspondence reports, conferences, meetings that are coming up. Anybody have anything for that? Future agenda items? Mr. Schumer.
I know you had it on here before, Chairman, but ATV, UTV routes and trails that they talked about earlier, I think that's an important issue. And the B&K intersection, I saw that coming up. I think that's very important as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else have anything? Thank you for your valuable time. Meeting adjourned.
I approach the board with a public comment.
Please tell us your name.
I'll just hold this. I promise to be brief. My name is Stuart Neville. I live at 9995 North Benson Road in Hayward here. And I have a comment I'd like to make on the proposed airport expansion master plan. Good evening, my name is Stu Neville, and I thank those present for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. I'm the owner of Hayward Fly Fishing Company, nominated for the Hayward Area Chamber of Commerce Small Business of the Year Award last year, former board chair of Wild Rivers Conservancy of the St. Croix and Namakagon, guide of 13 years on the Namakagon River, Hayward resident, husband, and father. I'm here to speak in strong opposition to the proposed expansion of the Sawyer County Airport. I'm not here to say that Sawyer County shouldn't have a quality airport. I'm here to say that the airport's location is woefully unsuited to the task of this proposed expansion. When the airport build site was originally chosen, the decision to shoehorn it into a tiny strip of land between a river, a wetland, and a highway was a poor choice and a limiting one, especially if expansion was a future goal. There simply isn't room to grow this airport responsibly in its current location. Airport expansion toward the Namakagon River, a federally designated National Wild and Scenic Riverway managed as a national park by the National Park Service, will do direct damage to this treasure in our backyard. My business and a way of life, along with many others in Hayward and beyond, relies on not just the existence of the Namakagon, but on the spectacular qualities it possesses. Its excellent water quality supports multiple diverse and thriving fisheries, not to mention multiple endangered species. Its wild and scenic beauty draws visitors and fishers from around the country, and it runs through the heart of our community. It's a signature part of what makes Sawyer County and Northwest Wisconsin more broadly the place that we all love. All the fine qualities I've just listed would be negatively, possibly irreparably impacted by this proposed expansion. Increased noise pollution would impact people and wildlife, and massively increased impervious surface area from expanded tarmac and hangars would boost volume and severity of runoff events into the river. Runoff containing petroleum products, salt, and airplane de-icing chemicals, among others. A rural airport, while at times convenient for some, is not the reason why businesses and families have chosen to call Sawyer County their home for so many generations. People don't live here for the airport. Businesses don't exist here just because of the airport. Thousands and thousands of visitors that support this area don't flock to Sawyer County like they do for its airport. They choose to be here because they are drawn in by the natural character and quality of this place. If having a large airport was actually a priority for the people who live here, they would choose to live elsewhere. To so flippantly risk the well-being of a time-treasured resource like the Namakagon River would be a misguided decision felt by all for many years to come. When the airport was originally built, it was a mistake to put it where it is. To grow this airport as proposed would be to grow the magnitude of that past mistake. On behalf of my family, my neighbors, my business, my customers, and the river I love so dearly, I ask you to consider what is being prioritized here and to not punish current and future residents of this community with a reckless expansion of this airport that will hurt families, resources, and quality of life in the Northwoods. I would also add to this statement that given this proposed expansion would displace at least 9 Hayward families, as mentioned earlier in this meeting tonight, from their homes, approval of the expansion would be the action of a board of supervisors that, in my opinion, doesn't care enough for their constituents. I respectfully thank you for your time and attention, and I do thank you all for your service to this community. And thank you for letting me speak at such an awkward time in this meeting. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.